I grabbed this set of large house shutters from Facebook Marketplace, and here's how I turned them into something both beautiful and functional. I cut them in half, removed the nails, cleaned them, although I did like the rustic look, so I decided not to paint them. I screwed them together with the two taller pieces at the back. I made sure to pre-drill with a drill bit, and then I secured them with 3 2-inch screws along each side. And I left both pieces open at the back so that I could easily add the boards for a shelf. And that's how I converted these old shutters into a shelf. So easy. I hope this inspires you to get creative with old shutters.
I've had an old shutter hanging around for a while now, and I finally found the perfect project for it. To start this project, I need to level out the back of the shutter. I want to add some spindles to it, and right now there's this little ridge that I want to make even. These little thin tongue depressors should do the trick and fill in the space so that it's all level. To keep them securely in place, I want to cover one side with wood glue and then lay them onto the shutter. While that shutter glue is drying, I want to go ahead and start painting these 4 vintage spindles I had. I don't mind if the paint's a little thin in some areas, as I want it to look a little bit worn and aged. Now that the shutter's ready to work with, I want to give the pieces I just glued on a quick sanding to make sure there are no uneven or high spots. It's time to paint the shutter now, and I'm going to use the same paint I did with the spindles. Like the spindles, I'm not worried about covering the entire shutter. I'm okay with little bits of the wood peeking through here and there. With the shutter completely painted, I'm ready to attach the spindles to it. I'm using a high tack wood glue so that they stay in place quickly and securely while the glue is drying. This little table is perfect to the end of my couch, and I love when I can repurpose old items to make something new. I hope this has inspired you to make something out of your old shutters as well.
I was out looking through yard sales and I found this dresser. What I wanted to do was first make sure I brought it up to my level and get all the drawers out so it's easy to work with. Once all the drawers are out, I noticed it was really gross on the inside, and I took my air blower and got it all out. Also, the bottom was actually in rough shape. It has some duct tape, and the shelf was just made of this cardboard material, and I needed to get rid of that. Also, know that I didn't need the middle drawers. The first top one I'm going to keep, but the other ones I'm not. So I used my oscillating tool to take away the framing. Once I got that done though, the next step I wanted to do is take a piece of 1/4-inch plywood, and I'm going to cut that and make my new shelf. That way it's stronger than the cardboard, and it looks good when it gets put in there. All I need to do is mark it off, use my skill saw, and get it cut just to the perfect length. Once I do that, I set it in place and it looks great. Next step though is to go ahead and prime the whole project. You gotta put on a good primer. If I were to paint it, the paint could actually peel off. So I put this primer on, it's gonna hide any stains and allow the paint to adhere really nice. Once I do that, then I also made sure I got the shelf in place with a few brad nails. The next step was to go ahead and put the paint on. Made sure that primer dried overnight, and then I used the paint, and it's a good quality cabinet paint. That's the key. Once I get that all on the sides and rolled on, I made sure I did 2 coats. Next, the perfect solution was to get the shutter out of the garbage can, and I cut it to size. And then I want to paint it. And it would have been a hassle to go ahead and brush it or roll it on, so I used spray paint. It goes on really nice, and it just takes 2 coats. The great thing about using spray paint is it's also an oil-based spray paint, and it gives such a nice satin finish to it. Once I get this side painted, I painted the other. And the great thing was I only needed actually 1 coat on the front of these drawers. I'm also going to put some new hardware on. That way it matches throughout. I'm actually going to put those poles on the front of the shutters along with new hinges, and I'm going to put those on also. Look at this. It's looking actually really good. Now I put some hooks on the side to hang my barbecue tools. Put that down. It's also great to put my wood chips in. I can seal those in the bottom. Anything that I want. Close those doors. They're out of sight. And I'm going to put a cutting board, and look at this. It actually turns out great. It's a side companion to my grill. I think it actually turned great. I don't think this thing could have turned out any better. Instead of throwing this old thing away that we found on the side of the road, we turned it into a beautiful, upcycled outdoor grilling station. I think it turned out great. I hope you like this project too, and let us know what you think. For today's project, we're going to head down to Habitat for Humanity. We're going to save this shutter from a drizzly day and see what we can do. First thing, lay out some cardboard, and we're going to lay that shutter down. What we want to do is get some high grit sandpaper. Just sand all the edges, gets rid of any imperfections and all the burrs. But don't worry, we are gonna paint it. We just wanna get rid of any gloss and make sure it looks smooth. Next is where the hinges go. We gotta get rid of those holes. We wanna fill them in because once we paint this, it's going to stand out. So just use some spackle, cover all the holes, especially if there's any staples or anything of the sort, and then a light sanding will fill it in. Next step is kind of cool. I grabbed some gray primer and just started painting. Now, like I've said before, we gotta make sure when we're spraying any project that we go light on it. It's always better to do 2 or 3 light coats than 1 heavy coat. Reason for this is the spray paint loves to puddle up or pool or drip, and we don't want that. We want to make it look nice every time. The color turned out perfect, so we brought it inside, and on the top we went to the very middle and we're going to put some hooks. These are very simple, inexpensive. All you got to do is lay them out and mark where the holes go. I love doing pre-drilling. I don't like to split the wood when I'm putting the screws in, so every time, even if it's a small drill bit, use a pilot hole. These are very simple to put in, and if you do use a pilot hole, you can use a screwdriver. Of course, I have a drill, so I'm going to use that. We're going to put one in the middle and one on each side. Again, I put this at the top, but this is your project. You can put these hooks anywhere you want. Next, I need to have a whiteboard. That way I can leave messages or notes for me or for the family. But how do we put it on? Well, I grabbed a little bit of extra epoxy glue that I had laying around, and I love it because it is strong. Just a 2-part system you mix together, and then I lay it out right underneath where the whiteboard's gonna go and just put it right on top of the slats, just like that, just in a few random areas. It's very simple. All you gotta do is lay it down and let it sit for about 10 minutes and it's gonna be perfectly strong. Next, I grabbed this little Home Sweet Home bucket that I got, but I need to put a hook on the back side. So I grabbed the pliers, bent the hook, and a little extra of the epoxy that I had and put it right on the back. I didn't want to put any screws through the bucket, so this epoxy is so amazing that it's just going to go ahead and clamp it right there with a clothespin and hold it on. While that's drying, I want to get some twine so I can give our little shutter a little bit of a rustic look. Just go ahead and put a knot in it. I'm going to put it through a small clothespin that I picked up at the Dollar Tree. Just tie it on there, real simple. If you have any extra, just cut it off on the end, not a problem. Then I'm going to go ahead and just clip it right onto the shutters. That way it's adjustable. I can put it anywhere I want. I went with the V look on it, and I can hang things from this, like pictures or postcards, not a problem. Next, we got to hang the shutter itself. The shutter is lightweight, so it just takes a simple hook on the back. Make sure you pre-drill, and now let's hang it up. As you can see, I got the hooks on top, and I've got the whiteboard, and I found this cool little shelf. It goes right into the shutters. The great thing is it's not permanent. You can just put it anywhere. Don't forget that bucket. We'll put that there, and just look at this amazing project. I can hang my keys, leave notes, hang up any postcards or sticky notes that I need, and it's got everything I need, dog leash, hats, and my wallet. I hope this inspired you to do your own upcycle project. We're glad you joined us on Home Talk, and we can't wait to see you again next time.